The Indianapolis Colts just signed a dynamic two-way player that I think is going to change the way that they perceive the rest of this offense. What's going on? My name is Elijah. I'm from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And if you like this video, give it like a minute. Give it like 8 minutes, whatever. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe as we quickly approach 1,000. I also just want to say thank you to all the people who've continued to grow this community into something really, really cool. But the Colts signed undrafted free agent quarterback Jason Bean. But when they signed him as a quarterback / wide receiver. Now, this isn't super abnormal. This happens more often than you might think, but it is still unique in that I don't remember in recent history the Colts having a guy who can play both quarterback and wide receiver. But I don't think this means that he's going to be a front runner for the quarterback, and I don't think it's going to mean he's going to be a front runner for wide receiver. But this does allow Shane Steichen to do more of what Shane Steichen loves to do, and that is to throw plays in that are both tricks or RPOs or some of the plays that might be more unexpected. Shane Steichen is no stranger to being able to do things and to be to shock the defense, to run a play that's just out of the ordinary, super abnormal, and we got to see glimpses of that with Anthony Richardson. And even in the few plays with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, that was kind of like what we were hoping to see. But now with guys like Adonai Mitchell, guys like Josh Doolin, guys like Jonathan Taylor, and now this Jason Bean guy, this opens up a whole new world for what the Colts are going to be able to do. So let's go do a breakdown of Jason Bean. And rookie minicamp started yesterday, and so now we get to see even more. We're going to get to see some footage of this. Bean spent 6 years at college, splitting his time between North Texas and Kansas. As a passer, Bean completed 59% of his career throws at 8.6 yards per attempt, with 56 touchdowns to 26 interceptions. His most recent season was his most efficient, as he averaged 10 yards per pass, 18 touchdowns, or 62%. In addition, he would line up as a running back and a receiver at times as well. He also has good speed, and this is where I think this is interesting and going to provide a lot of dynamic offense. He ran a 4.55 second 40-yard dash, and Bean's ceiling this year is likely as a practice squad player, but his versatility could lead to some creative elements being added to the offense down the road. I like this because I like guys who can do this. I think a comparison that I would like to make, and this might be a stretch because he is a little bit taller and also, maybe not the same build, not the same. The ceiling's not going to be the same, I don't think, but I'd like to see it. But Julian Edelman is one who repeatedly had these plays where he would make the throws down the field, and it was just really exciting to watch. And so this is a guy who could just be a practice squad player. But you look at Shane Steichen and what he's able to draw up, and what does that mean? Are we going to cap off Shane Steichen's ceiling? So that's one of the free agents that got signed, and then we'll keep going down. There's still room for Bean to strive for more consistency in his game in the operational realm, but his raw talent and competitive urgency bode well for his viability as a backup role. At his size, Bean is a hyper-elite creator who can be a legitimate rushing threat for an offense, as well as evade pressure and create secondary throwing windows at a high level. He also has a good baseline arm. I think this is a really, really good signing for the Colts because Sam Ehlinger is on his last year. And honestly, we got to see him for a couple of starts, and I will be honest, he did not get a fair shot. But we got to see enough to say that I don't think that an extension is a good idea for Sam Ehlinger. We also have Flacco for a year. If this is a guy who's going to come in and be QB3, I think that this could be a really, really good option because we saw Anthony Richardson gets hurt. That's just a part of last year, and we're hoping that maybe he improves his gameplay, knows when to slide, knows when to not take hits, understands that if you go down on the 1 yard line, you've got Jonathan Taylor to back you up and send you to the rest of the way. But I think this is incredibly interesting, and I think that a signing like this could prove to be really, really dynamic. So here's Jason Bean's RAS score. His RAS score is 7.42, which isn't great, and that's not normal for a Colts player. His height is very poor, and his weight is very poor. He's only 196 pounds at 6'2", which is not great for a guy who plays quarterback. I mean, that's just not a lot of muscle mass. So very, very small. But here's where he does really, really well. His composite speed grade is elite. He has a 40-yard dash of 4.55, which is great among quarterbacks, 20-yard split of 2.63, and a 10-yard split of 1.62. All of those rank at 9.75 or higher. His composite explosive grade is also really, really good, with his broad jump being 9.10, which is an 8.76. His vertical being 30.5, which is a 5.7. So not great, but when do you see quarterbacks have to really, unless you're Patrick Mahomes, like when do you see that? Composite agility grade is okay. His shuttle was 4.45, and his three cone was 7.07. Both of those ranking below 8 on the composite or on the RAS score. So. All of this, I mean, nothing is boding bad. What's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario, we sign this guy, he doesn't make the 90-man, and we're out. I think it was like $60,000, $70,000. Like for an NFL team, that's nothing. Best case scenario, Ellinger gets cut. This guy becomes our QB3, can sit, and I'm not looking at him to be a quarterback. I'm looking at the options of being a dynamic in the trick play options, a dynamic in these guys who can do something interesting. And also, we've seen quarterbacks adjust to wide receiver really, really well. There have been several options. Again, Julian Edelman's one that comes to mind. There was a guy on the Browns a couple years ago. Anyways, there are loads of guys who have been quarterbacks who have adjusted to be wide receivers, and they have the know-how. And plus, this guy, I mean, watching his film, he's agile. He's really, really fun to watch. He moves quick. He's got good speed, good cut. He's a better runner than he is a thrower. Also, he played at Kansas. Like, that's an offense that was really fun to watch this year because of him, but there's not a lot. You don't look at Kansas often as a team with a really explosive, fun to watch offense. So I think this could be a really, really fun thing. Again, I'm so excited to watch year 2 Shane Steichen. And year 2 Anthony Richardson, and year 1 Adonai Mitchell, and year 2 Josh Downs. I think there is nothing but like so much stuff to look forward to as far as what this Colts offense can do. And it might not be the worst thing in the world that they're gonna. We didn't make a lot of improvements to the defensive secondary. I'm excited to. The next video we're gonna go over the draft and the Micah Abraham and the other two. Jalen Charles and Jalen Simpson that the Colts drafted. I'm excited to go into some in-depth coverage of those guys. But let's be honest, we haven't signed the veteran yet that we were hoping to sign. The Colts might have to be more explosive, and they might have to be trickier. But now with a two-way offense, this is the first time in Jonathan Taylor's career. This is the first time in most of these guys' career that they have both a good quarterback and a good running back. And that is something that the Indianapolis Colts have not had in a very long time, is both of those simultaneously at the same time, is a good quarterback and a good running back. The last time that I can remember that happening was Peyton Manning and Edgerrin James. And for those of you under 25, Edgerrin James is a Hall of Fame running back who absolutely was explosive and really, really fun to watch. And then obviously we all know Peyton Manning. And that was a really good offense. The year after Edgerrin James left, we got Just as Die and won the Super Bowl. I always felt bad for Edgerrin James, who put in his time. But to be able to have this now and have the dynamics we have, and to continue to add dynamic players like Jason Bean, I think is going to be really, really exciting. And I can't wait. Bean played 30 at Kansas, and then he played at North Texas from 2018 to 2020. I still think it's crazy that we get guys in college who have played 5 years, 6 years, 7 years because of the COVID year and all that. I think it's absolutely wild to me. And then the other guy that we signed that was another dynamic guy was Trent Penix. We signed him and converted him to running back. He was both a tight end and running back, and they signed him as a specific running back. That's another guy that's really dynamic. 6'2", 234, played 54 games, 15 starts at North Carolina State at tight end and running back. So I think that's another one that's going to be really fun to watch. Continue to add some depth behind Jonathan Taylor. They need it. I'm not a huge fan of that. Of that team, of that running back room that's behind him. But I think this is going to be really good, a really, really dynamic feel for the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm excited to see where this offense does and what it's able to do in the future going forward.